everybody. Today I'm with Stormie Andrews, and Stormie was a speaker at one of my Vistage meetings. And Stormie was so good talking about personas and how to market with personal personas. I thought I would do a quick interview with Stormie, let him discuss maybe some of his background, why these personas work, how you could use them, and then maybe at the end talk about how you can get a hold of Stormie and really tap into his expertise. But anyway, Stormie, welcome. I'm glad you could spend some time with us today.
Thanks, Scott. I'm excited to be here with you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
my pleasure. And Stormie, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your the work that you do, how you weave personas in, and a little bit about what makes your persona approach so interesting in marketing.
Absolutely. So it all started. I was the founder of a digital marketing agency here in Las Vegas. We grew it to become the largest HubSpot agency partner in the state of Nevada. I had a successful exit from that company last year, but I was able to retain some IP that we created along the way. And that IP, we called it the world's best buyer persona system. Whew, a long name, but it is truly the world's best system at creating buyer personas. And fortunately, running a digital marketing agency, we had the ability of uh, you know trying and testing and providing new methodologies for buyer personas, because what we realized early on is that the more information, the greater the clarity was as it related to the ideal clients and customers of the people that our clients wanted to attract, the greater the success we would have. And all too often, we would go to organizations and ask, who's your ideal customer? And we would get answers like everybody. Well, when you try and create messaging for everybody, in reality, you end up attracting nobody. So it was about specificity. And coming from a marketing background and working with your traditional buyer personas. And by the way, for those of you that aren't familiar with a buyer persona is, a buyer persona is a fictional representation of your ideal customer. And historically, personas were created where they provided demographics, where they would say, who's your ideal customer? And they may give it an answer like, my ideal customer is a 43-year-old female with 2.3 kids, drives a minivan, and a lot of demographic type of data and information. Well, what we realized quickly on is that demographics don't make decisions, people do. That put us on the path of creating buyer personas. So we started putting our customers through a process of asking more detailed and intricate questions, which just allowed us to create far superior messaging. And the messaging was designed to create trust between the organization and the people they want to do business with. So if we could speed up the process of getting people to know, like, and trust our clients, if we can speed up that process, and we had this unique ability of creating customers from scratch. In essence, creating customers before competitors even realized that they existed, because we had so much information, the pain points, the struggles that consumers were going through when they're looking for a solution provider, that the world's best buyer persona system was born. So we've documented that system into the world's best buyer persona system. And now we have organizations and marketers using it all over the world, because it truly is spectacular. And now with the world of ChatGPT, it's even more important, because when you start adding AI into the mix, a lot of people are using AI and they're using it incorrectly. And when I say that, they're putting too much reliance upon AI without giving tools like ChatGPT the amount of information that it needs to really thrive. So when you create a superior buyer persona, or you provide ChatGPT or a tool like ChatGPT significantly more information than what others are providing, using a tool like World's Best Buyer Persona System, the output is incredible. And when I say incredible, it's truly incredible, where it can give you truly your marketing messaging for social media and YouTube at a level that's far superior than what the competitors have the ability of doing, just using ChatGPT on its own.
Yeah, I was fascinated because with our group, you created a roadmap of how to build these personas and how to identify them. And what I recall that was interesting is you actually had one model that would say, hey, where is your marketing organization out of kilter with the actual end user? And ultimately, and one of the things that I do outside of running Vistage groups is I run a vacation rental management business. And I was able to, through your process, create these personas and take it back to our marketing group. Now, I've been in really large organizations where people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for marketing companies to create personas just so their marketing team has something to aim at. But you were able to drill this down in a couple of hours, walk us through with your pamphlet of going from A to Z, and then being able to launch into Chat GPT. And I've already taken it back to my marketing crew and had multiple personas to give them. And I'm amazed at how quickly they were able to better identify who our audience is and create more creative marketing than we've had in quite some time. But kind of walk us through how you do that in a group so the people that are watching today can understand that evolution of how you walk somebody through it.
Well, and I take it through a systematic approach. And by the way, before I do that, Scott, thank you for what you just said, because that's exactly the type of feedback that makes this such a rewarding process of creating the world's best buyer persona system. Thank you for that. So what we do is I walk people through. First, I want to give people that go through this type of training the understanding of figuring out where their holes are, what's working, what's not working. So I create a system. I've created a system called a success wheel, and it's really designed to give clarity in reference to what's working, what's not working. And once we understand that, and we break it down into 8 different areas of marketing, and I'll just share the 8 areas, because when it comes to marketing, there's the awareness, right? Are your ideal personas aware of your brand? If not, what are you going to do to change that, right? But the 8 areas that we look at, the first one is awareness. Then we look at engagement. We look at lead generation. We look at conversion optimization. We look at something that's called wow. And wow is, what are you doing to enhance the relationships with your customers after they've already written a check? That's an incredible opportunity that many people miss out on, many organizations miss out on. So from wow, the next area that we look at is a customer ladder, meaning that is there a structured process in place within your organization to convert more customers into clients? A customer is someone who does business with you once. A client is thinking about you next time they need your goods and services. And is there a structured process to convert more clients into advocates? Advocates will tell others about your brand. And then is there a process to convert more advocates into raving fans? And raving fans are like having this army of employees that aren't on the payroll. They are the most valuable customers you can have. And then from there, we look at reviews and referrals. And then the process as it comes to buyer personas is we look at, we break it down even another step, because one of the areas that is so important, you have to have what we call 3 pieces of the puzzle, a documented journey. So if we wanted to improve one of the areas that I just spoke of, what's our strategy? What's our game plan? What is that documented journey? And then from there, well, let's identify what wins and losses looks like. This way we can disseminate that information to the team, because I can tell you this, Scott, and to the audience, there have been so many organizations we've dived into when I had my marketing agency, and they had no idea if they were winning or losing. They were just running up and down the field, hoping that something was working and hoping that they were scoring. So having a clear definition of wins and losses of what they look like is absolutely key. And then you have to have the right tools and tactics. So what tools and tactics are going to allow us to win? That's based on the documented journey. Well, with that type of information, then we start working into the psychographics and the pain points and the struggles that your customers go through. So we have a series of questions that the worksheet and the world's best buyer persona system guides people through. What do they want? What does your solution provide to them? And what does a win feel like? So if they move forward with your solution, like Scott, you mentioned vacations, correct? And
Yes.
Vacation rentals.
Yes.
So vacation rental, right? What would an ideal vacation feel like in one of the vacation rentals, right? If I choose the right company, What does a win look like? On the other hand, if I choose the wrong company, we've all heard of horror stories, right? What does that feel like? And no one wants to go through that experience, but we have to identify that because those are conversations that people are having in their head. And that's what the world's best buyer persona system is designed to do, is designed to flush out the conversations that people are having in their head. This way you can create messaging that can communicate and answer the questions as it relates to the conversations that they're having in their head. And the better you can do that, the greater your likelihood of success, the greater the likelihood of you gaining trust, and the greater the likelihood of you building a database of new customers where you're eliminating the competition because your messaging was so on point and so on key that the competitors don't even become part of the equation. Scott, did I answer that? Sometimes I go way off. I get so excited. I want to answer everything. I don't even know if I answered the question.
No, I think you're on track. It was interesting because you actually had us give names to the different personas, right? And so when
Yes.
I think of the vacation rental business, I've got some people that are value conscious. I've got other people that are just couples looking for a getaway. There are other personas of a family that's got a big group of people traveling with them. And I was able to give names to each one of those personas. And then I was fascinated because a lot of our meetings are touching base on AI and how to use that, and actually putting the psychographics into that and what their pain points are and how Chat GPT could spit it out. But maybe you could go into that and do a little bit more detail, how you have used it and maybe what some of your clients have done and the outcome and where the wins have been.
Yeah, so that's a deep question where I can go in a lot of different directions, and I'll do my best because I will go all over the place.
Wherever it
I'm
takes
just
you.
passionate, right? Wherever it takes us. So one, I want to address the fact that you've given the personas the fun names, and let me tell you why that's so advantageous, which you've probably already realized it. Within organizations, by having a persona, what was the value conscious person? What was the name of that persona?
Oh boy, I don't know if I remember, but it's like Victor the value creator
Value
or
Victor.
something. It was Victor and value. I tried to get the name, the first letter of the name and what they were going for to match up.
So let's call it Victor, a Value Victor for right now, for the sake
Yes,
of
right.
argument. Is that okay? Because when you have a name like Value Victor, for those that are listening to this podcast, understanding what Scott does and say, okay, Value Victor, that just the name on its own gives you a pretty good insight in regards to who that person is. And now what happens is within organizations where they have multiple buyer personas, which most organizations do, having the ability of referring to the person you want to target simply by a name, that gives the other team members the ability to recall their pain points, their struggles, their weaknesses. It allows the synergistic approach to your marketing efforts. So if you're using partners that are outside agencies and internal team members that are all marketing to the same person, you have this unifying document that's designed to give this transference of knowledge. And it's the transference of knowledge of what Value Victor looks like, the pain points and struggles that Value Victor is going through, and how we can more effectively attract the Value Victors of the world. What's important to the Value Victors, what's not important, what Value Victor is seeing out there in the marketplace as it relates to the competitors. What is he doing as it relates to finding a value vacation rental? What he's being told by the naysayers, as well as the half glass empty and the half glass full folks. Understanding that allows you to create social media, a superior social media, blog posts, video messaging, and so forth, right? It ensures that you're right on check. And it also allows for a synergistic approach. So in some cases, with some organizations, if you had a marketing agency, and then you had a social media team, and then maybe you had some outside teams that are producing TV commercials and radio ads, you give them this one unifying document. That unifying document does the transference of knowledge to ensure that everyone's on the same page without having these endless meeting after meeting after meeting. So some of the successes that has led to in a tremendous increase in efficiency, because some of the feedback that I've gotten from people and from business owners is, one, they didn't realize how little they knew about their customers.
Mm.
which is important, right? So going through this exercise, when the leadership has learned more about their customers, what it has given them the ability of doing is transferring their knowledge through this tool, the buyer's persona, to their entire team of customer facing employees. And what they've noticed over a period of time is that they're getting higher customer satisfaction scores. The sales team are closing sales faster at better margins. And the customer service team, as I mentioned, superior customer service scores, and the marketing team, there seems to be an alignment between marketing and sales because the part of the process is creating that alignment because everyone knows what a win looks like. They know what a loss looks like. And so from an internal process, which was a byproduct of the world's best buyer persona system, efficiency, alignment amongst departments, a transference of knowledge, and then what it's done for organizations, we just case study after case study, where we've taken organizations like collision centers from a $12 million organization to receiving a $35 million unsolicited offer to sell their company within 3 years. Similar case studies in the field of medical and the legal industry, and it's just a wide variety of industries. And what these industries have in common is that they all do business with people, right? So even if it doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C, you're doing business with people. And the better you can understand the person who you're doing business with, the better you can empathize with them, the better you can understand what's important to them and their pain points and their struggles, the better your ability is to not only close the sale, but to have a longer lasting relationship, not just from the top, but everyone within the organization, because they all have a greater understanding of their customers through this very simple, well-detailed document.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was simple yet powerful to get you to think about that ideal customer along the way. Stormie, let me ask you, you've probably done this hundreds of times. Do you have maybe one company where you went to and it was maybe one of the greatest aha moments that they've had? Do you have an example story to share?
Ooh, wow. That I can disclose. Let's see. I will use well, let me think. That's a great question because I've got so many of them. I'm trying to think of like which one should I use. Well, I'll just use the collision center because that's someone who has given me permission to share their story. And with this collision center, when we started with the collision center, it was early on with the world's best buyer persona system. As a matter of fact, it was a company where we only had portions of the world's best buyer persona system implemented for their organization. But what we were able to do is, or let me back up really quick, because let me share with you the pain point that the business owner was struggling with. And what he realized was that he was at the mercy of the insurance companies. He had scenarios that if he was, as a collision center, he was an approved collision center for a multitude of insurance companies, and they weren't necessarily his most profitable customers in terms of profitability for fixing one unit, but they did keep the lights on because there was high volume associated with it. But what he realized is that there was a lot of cash paying customers out there, and the cash paying customers meant that if he had a steady flow of cash paying customers, he wasn't necessarily concerned with an insurance company going away, canceling his contract, and then having a very significant impact on the bottom line. So he wanted to create this cushion of having cash paying customers of higher end automobiles. So he was looking for people with luxury vehicles, high end vehicles. He really wanted to service their vehicles preferably without the insurance companies. So what we had to do was rework basically all of his messaging from scratch, because his messaging prior to that was geared towards the person who was the most price conscious person when it came to getting their car fixed. I want the lowest price, lowest price, lowest price. And what we realized, that people that were driving Maseratis and Bentleys and Mercedes and Ferraris, the last thing they wanted was the lowest price. They wanted the best. And that's what it came down to. They wanted absolutely the best. So we used the world's best buyer persona system to change his messaging, where he still kept his insurance business, but we created essentially another division inside his company that catered to the high end, the high end market. And within just a few short years, we had a scenario where his margins were off the chart. I'm not able to share what his margins were, but they were off the chart. And he went from basically a company, when we started down this path, a company that was valued at $12 million, and in 2.5 years, he received an unsolicited offer to sell his business for over $30 million, which was incredible. He only had to step out of the business for 2 years, which he did do. And then if he opened up another collision center, he had to do it in another state, which he did do. So now it's a rinse and repeat, doing the same process over again. And it was incredible. And it comes down to the use of the world's best buyer persona system. And if it can be used in an industry such as a collision center, that's proof that it can be used in essentially any industry, because that's a highly commoditized industry. It's a highly commoditized industry. And it was just creating messaging that just resonated with more people.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, it was fun, and we had multiple people in my group, everyone in a different industry, and everybody walked away with a better understanding of how to do some really advanced marketing that they would have to otherwise go out and pay a lot of money for some high-priced agency to do. But you've made it so simple and so easy to use, and incorporated AI, that it was nothing short of a miracle, if you ask me. All right, so Stormie, people are going to get really interested in what you're doing here. How do they get a hold of you? And yeah, if they want to reach out and learn more about what you're doing, or give a speech, or read more about what your process is all about, how do they do that?
So it's pretty easy. A couple of things you can do. The first of all, you can go to a website. I've created a Linktree website called outsmarttools.com. So it's pretty easy, outsmarttools.com. From there, I have links to all sorts of different things. I've got links to the book on Amazon where you can pick up a copy, links to the Audible version of the book, links to my website, which is stormieandrews.com, and other tools and resources. And then you also want to do your research. Am I credible, right? I'm an easy person to Google. There's not too many Stormies out there. So if you spell Stormie with an IE, Andrews, so it's Stormie Andrews, just Google me. You can see that I've contributed to Forbes. I have had a lot of great things said about me from a lot of great people, a lot of good companies, and the system works, right? So you can Google me to do your own due diligence. You can go to stormieandrews.com, but it's probably easier just going to outsmarttools.com and either pick up a copy of the book or reach out to me and see if I'm a fit to come in and talk to your organization.
Great. Stormie, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I'm full on endorsing the process, and yeah, wishing you all the success, my friend.
Thanks, Scott. It was great being here with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.